this is World One, live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Our top story this Friday, thousands of people are in Tahrir Square. It is 12:30 local time, and Friday prayers are underway. It's one of many planned demonstrations that we're seeing across the country right now. Let's take a look and listen to what's happening right now. Well, from hope to disbelief to outrage, the Egyptian president's address has taken anti-government protesters through the gamut of emotions. Thousands of angry demonstrators are now, as we've been seeing, streaming into Cairo's Tahrir Square. They're praying right now, but as our Damien reports, there are fears that are growing that blood could be spilled. How newspapers around the world are reporting on this story in Egypt. In the UK, the Independent's headline is, as Mubarak clings on, what now for Egypt? That's a question everyone seems to be asking. They go on to say this is a Middle Eastern epic. One of those incremental moments when the Arab people, forgotten, chastised, infantilized, repressed, often beaten, tortured too many times, occasionally hanged, will strive to give the great wheel of history a shove and shake off the burdens of their lives. Then in the United Arab Emirates, a national newspaper, they're saying the headlines, Mubarak stays and army faces test of stability. It says the armed forces must act with restraint. This is an unprecedented test of all of Egypt's institutions. How they perform will be remembered by all Egyptians. And as we mentioned there, the New York Times has an opinion piece by Egyptian opposition figure Mohammed al-Baradei titled The Next Step for Egypt's Opposition. He goes on to write, Egypt will not wait forever on this caricature of a leader, deaf to the voice of the people, hanging on obsessively to power that is no longer his to keep. One issue, many views, and of course you can read all those articles in full at facebook.com/W1CNN, and of course we'll all be there chatting with you about this in just a bit. You are watching World One, live from London. Words of anger and defiance. We'll hear from some of the people who say they are willing to sacrifice everything, even their lives, to end 3 decades of the Mubarak regime. We're joined now on the line by a protester who was in the square for last night's presidential address. He's about to rejoin the demonstration there, and he's asked us to only identify him by his first name, only for security reasons. And Hassan, tell us, were you at the square last night?
Yes, I was.
And what did you see? What did you feel?
I mean, it was incredibly disappointing. The president's speech came, well below the expectations that people had. Everybody was ready to see an end to this regime and a beginning to a structural transition towards democracy. And last night, people did not feel that looked like it was happening.
And well, what about today, Hassan? What will you do today?
I'm on my way right now, heading out to Tahrir, because we do not feel that what we truly want, which is the end to this regime and the beginning of a complete structural shift towards a democratic system, is likely, given what the president said last night.
Cairo's Tahrir Square flew flags, boldly marking a date that seems likely to be celebrated in years to come, January 25th. And CNN correspondents have been there since that date to record this remarkable uprising.
The demonstrators seem to have one basic demand. They are demanding the ouster of Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, who's been in power now since 1981. No Hosni Mubarak! No Hosni Mubarak! What we've seen in Cairo today is that the streets were flooded with tens of thousands of angry people, all demanding a change here in Egypt.
Everyone here wants to speak to us. Everyone has an opinion, and as you can see, some people would like to push to get their voices out and to get themselves on camera, but despite that, it is quite relaxed and it is quite friendly, but it's probably a good time to move on.
The army has come out into the streets. This was an armored personnel carrier full of army soldiers just up there. This is the first time we've seen that the army has become involved. The army has stayed out of any civil disturbances since 1985. That was the last time they were brought in to bring down stop rioting by, ironically, police. This because of the communications blackout, we're going to have to check that with our sources to see what is going on.
But the demonstration's getting much closer to one of the army posts, and the gunfire that we can hear rocketing through the air, the demonstrators say that's the army firing to warn them to stay away. But it's long, more gunshots. It's long after curfew right now. And if the government was controlling the situation, people tracer fire flying in the air. These people wouldn't be out on the streets if the government was in control.
There is no question that after days and nights of protests here in Tahrir Square, this is the biggest gathering we have seen yet.
Let me just set the scene for you right here. The Egyptian Museum is behind me. That is now kind of ground zero for the confrontation between the pro-Mubarak forces and the anti-Mubarak forces.
It looks like this is building up to some sort of massive clash.
Okay, I'm being told walk, don't say. Okay. Okay. This is a little chaotic. I have someone helping me out here. This is the scene.
First there was the day of rage, then the 1 million Egyptian march, and today is the day of departure or farewell, where Egyptians say farewell to their president of 30 years, President Hosni Mubarak.
30-year-old Wael Ghonim is one of a group of young Egyptian activists who helped organize the first seminal protest here on January 25th, which triggered a popular uprising that has shaken the foundations of the Egyptian government. He was released on Monday after spending a week and a half in solitary confinement.
This is no longer the time to negotiate, unfortunately. We went on the street on 25th, and we wanted to negotiate.
You're watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. CNN's coverage of the uprising in Egypt continues right here on CNN.